What if the biggest threat to our health isn't some new virus, but actually the way we live our lives, right from day one? There's a massive global crisis out there, responsible for literally tens of millions of deaths every single year. And the solution? Well, it might just be a total rethink of what it even means to be healthy. The World Health Organization, they have a plan, but it came with a huge problem. A problem that almost stopped the whole thing dead in its tracks.
Okay, so first things first, let's just unpack the sheer scale of this crisis. We're talking about something called non-communicable diseases, or NCDs for short. Now, these aren't things you catch, like a cold. They're the chronic conditions that, let's be honest, many of us or our families are dealing with every single day. Things like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and the numbers behind them, wow, they are absolutely staggering.
Get ready for this number, 41 million. That's how many people die from NCDs every single year. To put that in perspective for you, that's more the entire population of Canada just gone, annually. It's a massive, ongoing global health disaster, and frankly, our current systems are just struggling to keep up.
But here's where the story gets even more, urgent. See, this isn't a crisis that hits everyone equally, not even close. A staggering 77% of these deaths, that's more than 3/4 of them, happen in low and middle-income countries. I mean, that just lays bare a profound global inequality right at the very heart of our health systems.
So, okay, the World Health Organization is on it. They've been pushing for this thing called a life course approach to tackle the problem. And it sounds pretty promising, right? But here's the twist. For the longest time, nobody was really sure what that even meant.
And look, this wasn't just some simple misunderstanding. No, this was a fundamental roadblock to actually getting anything done. I mean, think about it. How are countries supposed to implement a global health strategy if their own experts can't even agree on what the strategy is?
So that was the big question on everyone's mind. What does a life course approach actually mean? Is it just about stuff you do in early childhood? Or does it cover, our entire lives? Without a clear answer, trying to create effective policies, well, it was like trying to build a house without a blueprint.
And this, right here, just illustrates the problem perfectly. Get this, a 2022 survey of the actual professionals working on NCDs found that only 25% of them felt very confident they understood the term. Just a quarter. Can you believe that? That is a massive gap in understanding for what's supposed to be a flagship global health strategy. So to fix this mess, a working group in the UK stepped in. They basically said, okay, enough is enough. They brought a bunch of experts together to finally hammer out a clear, actionable definition that everyone could use. To get on the same page and start making a real difference.
And this is what they came up with. It's all about maximizing a person's health across their entire life. But, and this is the key part, it's not just about medicine or what's in your genes. It's about targeting all those social, environmental, and economic things that shape our health from the day we're born to the day we die. It's a huge shift in thinking, really. We're moving from just treating diseases when they pop up to proactively designing a lifetime of well-being.
So what does that really mean? Well, it boils down to two core ideas. First, you adapt. You tailor what you're doing to specific stages of life. What works for a teenager isn't going to work for a new parent or a retiree, right? And second, you aim for impact that lasts. I'm talking about lasting benefits not just for one person, but for their kids and even their kids' kids.
Okay, so that's the theory, which is great. But how does this actually work in the real world? Let's take a look at some amazing examples of how this approach is already creating some seriously powerful, life-changing programs out there.
Let's start at the very beginning. We're talking about the first 1,000 days of life, from conception all the way to a child's second birthday. This is an absolutely critical window. A mother's health during pregnancy doesn't just affect her, you see. It literally sets the stage for her child's future risk of developing things like diabetes and hypertension down the line. If you intervene here, the ripple effect is just massive.
Okay, now for a really fascinating question, one that kind of seems to defy logic. How can kids lower their parents' blood pressure? I know, it sounds weird, right? But it turns out they can be incredibly powerful agents of change inside a family.
This case study out of China is just brilliant. So the problem was that people were eating way too much salt, which is super dangerous. The solution? Instead of trying to lecture the adults, they educated the primary school kids about healthy eating. And these kids? They went home and became these little health ambassadors in their own families. And the result? Get this, salt intake dropped by 25%, not just for the kids, but for the adults too. And their parents' blood pressure dropped significantly. Now that is intergenerational impact in action.
And this approach is incredibly versatile. It works across the entire lifespan. For instance, over in Eswatini, school vegetable gardens are teaching teenagers about healthy cooking, and that knowledge is going home and transforming meals for the whole family. Then you've got Indonesia, where nursing students are teaming up with busy middle-aged adults to design NCD care that actually fits into their crazy hectic lives. And in Thailand, there's this amazing model that recognizes, hey, to support older adults, you've also got to support their family caregivers. It's a simple idea, but it reduces burnout and improves health for everybody involved.
So, let's zoom out. Why does all of this matter so much? Because it fundamentally changes the entire goal of public health. Instead of just reacting to illness after it happens, it's all about proactively building a foundation for health that lasts a lifetime and can even benefit the next generation too.
So really, the big takeaway here is that our health is all interconnected through time. What happens in one stage of your life can literally echo for generations. It totally reframes how we see NCDs. They're not just an old person's problem anymore. And it means prevention isn't something you do once. It's a lifelong commitment to well-being at every single stage.
You know, there's this quote from the source material that I just think is so powerful. It says, "A good death is as important as a good life." And the life course approach really takes that to heart. It even extends to the end of life, arguing that ensuring dignity, comfort, and well-being through things like palliative care, well, that's a vital part of a person's entire health journey. It really values every single moment.
And that really leaves us with this final, big question to think about. This whole approach is asking us to stop looking at health as just a series of emergencies that need fixing. Instead, it challenges all of us to become architects of lifelong well-being, for ourselves, for our families, and for our communities. So, what would our world really look like if we actually embraced that challenge?